He's just coming in. Just 1 second.
You all get lunch, hopefully?
NBC.
You have another witness?
Your Honor, the state calls Aaron Exner.
Okay. Mr. Exner. Come on up. Have a seat. I'll swear you in after you get seated, okay?
Except for if you want me to take
Better if you sit. I've had people fall off when we swear them. They lose their balance or something. I don't know. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the cause now pending before the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? You got it.
I do.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Can you please state your name? Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't work, but you can use it.
Aaron Exner.
And Mr. Exner, what's your current occupation?
I currently work in sales and marketing at Dynamic DNA Laboratories.
And what do you do at Dynamic DNA Laboratories?
Right now, focused on sales and marketing of our number of variety of genetic tests and other things that we do.
How long have you worked there?
Since April of this year.
And what did you do prior to working at Dynamic DNA Laboratories?
Prior to working at Dynamic, I worked for the Missouri State Highway Patrol Crime Laboratory here in Springfield.
How long did you work for the Missouri State Highway Patrol?
A little over 5 years.
And what were your duties with the crime lab here?
Yeah, my duties mainly consisted of locating, identifying, and genetically typing biological material, and then making subsequent comparisons to known reference standards.
And what was your title?
I was a DNA criminalist.
And in order to work as a DNA criminalist, did you first, actually let me back up. First, what's your educational background?
Yeah. I got my undergraduate degree from Southwest Baptist University in Bolivar, Missouri in biology, and then went on and got my master's in plant science from Missouri State University.
Then in order to work as a criminalist, did you have to go through additional training from the Missouri Highway Patrol?
Yes, I did.
Okay, can you describe that?
Generally consisted of about a year and a half of in-house training of understanding the technology from my educational background, but then figuring out ways to apply it and running a number of examples and different samples to kind of prepare me for the work.
And how long was that process?
About a year and a half.
Mr. Exner, just in general, what is DNA?
Yeah, DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid, a big fancy word that really is just the blueprint of life. It's what makes us unique and what makes us all human.
And where do we get our DNA?
You know, we get half of our DNA from our father and half of our DNA from our mother.
So if you're working as a criminalist at the crime lab and you receive a piece of evidence, are there some preliminary steps you go through to see if there's anything on there that may even be suitable for testing?
Can you restate the question?
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's take it, you get an item of clothing. Mm-hmm. Is there a preliminary stage that when you look at that item of clothing that you go through to see if there's maybe something on there you can test?
Yeah, generally what we'll have is kind of a summary of whatever the incident is. And so knowing what the summary is and knowing oftentimes what type of biological material we would be looking for would often dictate the type of DNA analysis I would perform.
And then if you are able to locate DNA, are you able to put that into some kind of format that you can see?
Yes, I can.
What is that called?
That would be called a DNA profile.
Now, if you're able to develop a DNA profile from a piece of evidence, do you necessarily know whose DNA that is?
Not initially, no.
So then is it common for you to receive maybe a suspect's DNA or a victim's DNA so that you can compare?
Yes, it was common practice for us to have a what was called a reference standard from all subjects associated with the case, whatever it was.
And what was the most common form that you would get those reference standards in?
Yeah, the most common form would be what's called a buccal swab, B-U-C-C-A-L, and that actually just stands, it's the medical term for the inside of the cheek. So a buccal swab would probably be the most common.
Then, assuming you're able to develop a DNA profile from a piece of evidence, do you compare that profile to those of your reference standards from a suspect and or a victim?
Yes.
Now, if a profile from a piece of evidence is consistent with somebody's known profile, how do you word that?
Generally, we would word it as that it would be consistent with.
And why do you use that phrase instead of "it's a match"?
Yeah, a big part of it has to do with the fact that we don't look at the entire strand of DNA. We only look at, generally in this case, 16 locations along the DNA. So the DNA being billions of nucleotides long, we would only look for 16 different locations within that. And so without being able to test the whole strand of DNA, that's really all we could say.
But then are you able to use statistics to put a probability that those profiles actually are from the same person?
Yes, I could.
And how does that work?
So generally, there have been studies that have been done that have shown what are called relative frequencies. So they've looked at these locations over a large number of people, and given certain ethnic backgrounds, they can see how often these, what were called alleles at these locations, how often they would come up in certain population groups. And so we would apply essentially the statistical weight to that, and then do those comparisons and create a result that we would report out.
Drawing your attention now to back in 2015, did you take part in a case that involved the death of someone named Dee Dee Blanchard?
Is it okay if I look at my notes?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I did.
And what was your role in the investigation?
In this particular investigation, I was the DNA analyst assigned to the case.
And were there various items then that you went ahead and tested?
Yes, there was.
And in about early 2016, did you complete some reports that had the results of your testing?
Yes, I did.
Now, you mentioned reference standards being that you know it comes from a certain person. Did you have those in this case?
Yes, I did.
Which ones did you have?
I had the buccal swabs from the 3 subjects associated in this case.
And I'll just show you quickly here. This has already been admitted as State's Exhibit 43. Is that the buccal swab of the victim, Ms. Blanchard?
Yes.
This tape right here that you used that?
Yes, I can tell both by the tape at the bottom with my initials and date across that, as well as our crime lab barcode that we apply to every piece of evidence that comes into the lab. I also have my initial and date on that as well.
All right. Now I'll show you what's already been admitted as State's Exhibit 178. Is this the reference standard of Mr. Godejean?
Yes, it appears to be.
And again, same tape and marking as you described earlier.
Yes.
And then lastly, State's Exhibit 179, is that a reference standard for Gypsy Blanchard?
Yes, this appears to be.
And you know you handled it for the same reason you've already described.
Yes.
Were some of the items that you tested, did those come from the bathroom at 2103 West Volunteer Way?
That was my understanding, yes.
Specifically, did you test some paper towels?
Yes, I did.
If you would look at there in State's Exhibit 24, and now State's Exhibit 25, we see a roll of paper towels. When you received it, it would have been in an evidence bag, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
But then by the time you actually tested it, would you have taken it out and tested the red substance there at the top?
Yes, I would.
And what were the results of your testing of the paper towel?
So after testing with a chemical that we call leucomalachite green, it's a chemical that we use to color change tests that reacts to blood. And after testing that, I say that it's screened positive for the presence of blood.
And then did you make comparison to the known profiles that you had?
Yes, I did.
And were there any consistencies?
Yes, there was.
And what was that result?
The profile that I developed from the screen positive blood stain is consistent with that of Nicholas Godejohn and has an approximate frequency of 1 in 89.93 quadrillion in the Caucasian population and 1 in 20.46 quintillion in the black population. Gypsy Blanchard and Claudinia Blanchard are eliminated as the source of the profile.
And that was a big number that you mentioned.
Yes.
Is that more than the population of people on Earth?
Yes, it is.
Now, if you could look up there at States Exhibit 28, you also did some testing on that swab from the sink. Can you describe what your results were from that?
From item 14.1 being the crime laboratory number for this, I say that a DNA profile was developed and is characteristic of being a mixture of 3 individuals. Claudinia Blanchard, Gypsy Blanchard, and Nicholas Godejohn cannot be eliminated as contributors to the mixture.
So when you receive a mixture, do you still do the same thing where you assign a number or a percent probability that it is a mixture of those 3 individuals?
It's a similar process, again, using the statistics that we have from studies that have been done. But in this case, we utilize what's called a likelihood ratio, and we essentially put forth a hypothesis, and we look at likelihoods of those particular alleles at those locations to determine whether or not we assign some weight to it.
And what was that statistic or hypothesis about this mixture from this swab?
So from this swab, the observed mixture profile is 475.7 quintillion times in the Caucasian population and 8.084 septillion times in the black population, more likely to occur under the scenario that it originated from a mixture of DNA from Claudinia Blanchard, Gypsy Blanchard, and Nicholas Godejohn, as opposed to the scenario that the mixture originated from a mixture of DNA from 3 unknown, unrelated individuals.
Then lastly, did you also do some testing on a knife?
Yes, I did.
I'll just show you what's already been admitted as States Exhibit 145. But is that the knife that you tested?
Yes, it is.
And then there seem to be several swabs in here with blue tape. What are those?
Those were the swabs that I took from various parts of the knife.
And they appear in the same or substantially same condition as when you packaged them.
Yes, they appear to be.
What was your general approach to testing the knife?
So a large part of our in-house training program that we deal with at the Highway Patrol is dealing with a number of samples from potentially a number of different scenarios. And so with my time with the patrol, having worked a variety of cases, including those with knives, I basically swapped different parts of the knife because basically there would be a kind of a story to tell from each part of the knife.
So if you look over your shoulder there at States Exhibit 138, I know with the blue glove aside, is that photograph the knife that we just looked at in the exhibit?
Yes, it appears to be.
And so did you test the blade of this knife?
Yes, I did.
And what, if any, results came from testing the blade?
The blade did screen positive for the presence of blood, and that a DNA profile was developed from that, and that the profiles consist of being a mixture of two individuals. The major component of the mixture is consistent with the profile developed from Dee Blanchard, and has an approximate frequency of 1 in 2.196 quadrillion in the Caucasian population and 1 in 437.8 quadrillion in the black population.
And now, did you also test the handle of the knife?
Yes, I did.
Did you just test one place or more than one?
In this case, I swabbed more than one.
And specifically, what areas of the handle did you test?
In this instance, I swabbed the red part of the handle there, and then I also swabbed where the red part of the handle met the black part of the handle.
Taking first the red part of the handle, what was the result of your testing on that part?
That also screened positive for the presence of blood. A DNA profile was developed and was consistent with being a mixture of two individuals. Nicholas Godejohn and Dee Dee Blanchard cannot be eliminated as contributors to the mixture. The observed mixture profile is 1.719 billion times in the Caucasian population and 56.15 billion times in the black population, more likely to occur under the scenario that originated from a mixture of DNA from Dee Dee Blanchard and Nicholas Godejohn, as opposed to the scenario that the mixture originated from a mixture of DNA from Dee Dee Blanchard and an unknown, unrelated individual.
And then how about where you swabbed, where the black part of the handle meets the red part of the handle? What were your results there?
From that one, a DNA profile was developed and is characteristic of being a mixture of three individuals. Dee Dee Blanchard, Gypsy Blanchard, and Nicholas Godejohn cannot be eliminated as contributors to the mixture. The observed mixture profile is 59.88 quadrillion times in the Caucasian population and 6.12 quintillion times in the black population, more likely to occur under the scenario that it originated from a mixture of DNA from Dee Dee Blanchard, Gypsy Blanchard, and Nicholas Godejohn, as opposed to the scenario that the mixture originated from a mixture of DNA from three unknown, unrelated individuals.
I don't have any other questions, Your Honor.
Any questions?
No, Judge.
May this witness be excused?
Yes, sir.
May he be excused?
Yes, Judge.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. You have another witness?
We do, but I think that based on our prior conversations, we need to make a record first.
All right. Why don't we just go in here and do that? Okay. Now, folks, our next witness is going to take a little while, and so we're going to break in the middle of the testimony on direct. We normally don't do that, but that way you aren't sitting too long. If you need a break, though, before we get to that stopping point, just raise your hand and we'll stop then. Okay, I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable. Okay? So, Mr. Patterson.
State calls Michael Costello.
All right. Come on up, sir. Have a seat right here. If you raise your right hand, do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in the cause now pending before the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
State the name for the record, please. Michael Costello.
Your Honor, we would lodge our objection at this point.
All right. I'll overrule that objection. That'll be subject to what we talked about in the back.
Yes, sir.
Will you spell your last name for the court reporter, please?
Costello.
How are you employed?
I'm a computer forensic analyst with the Springfield Police Department.
Could you describe for the jury what a computer forensic analyst is?
My job is to process digital evidence. So digital evidence is anything that can store data related to a criminal case, but pretty much everything I work on is smartphones, computers, flash drives, and memory cards. It's my job to go out to scenes and collect that evidence, pull the information from that, analyze it, and then create reports for investigators.
You said you work for the Springfield Police Department, correct?
Correct.
Do you sometimes assist other agencies like the Greene County Sheriff's Office?
Yes.
Do you have some certifications that enable you to do the work that you do?
Yes, I have 3.
What are they?
I'm a certified forensic computer examiner, which is put on by the International Association of Computer Investigative Specialists. That certification requires a multi-month process where you go through testing and they give you examples of data and you have to process it and answer questions about it. I am also an NCASE certified examiner. NCASE is a software tool that we use sometimes in forensics. It required going to several training classes and also a testing process after that. I am also a Cellebrite certified mobile examiner. Cellebrite is a phone forensic tool. They have several levels of certification, and that's the highest one that they have.
And do you have some additional training in that area as well, in addition to the certification?
Yeah, I have over 700 hours in computer forensics training covering everything from getting data from devices, how data is stored on devices, and how operating systems save those and the artifacts that are left behind when people do certain things.
Since you mentioned, when you say artifact left behind, can you just generally tell us what you mean by that?
Artifact would be something like web history or chat messages, something specific to a certain program.
Do you also teach in the area of computer forensics?
Yes, that first certification that I mentioned, the Certified Forensic Computer Examiner, the first half of that process, you have a coach that grades your work and answers all of your questions. So I've been doing that for other people that are going through that process, being their coach for several years. I also teach classes to detectives on investigating digital crimes.
Did you have an occasion in 2015 to assist the Greene County Sheriff's Office in the investigation of the death of Claudine Blanchard?
Yes.
And in the course of that work, did you examine a Hewlett-Packard desktop computer tower?
Yes.
And you've looked at that recently, correct? It's a physical item
Yes.
in our office. And so if I just hold up State's Exhibit 86, do you recognize that?
Yes, that's it.
And then did you also examine a Hewlett-Packard Pavilion laptop DV6000 that has a white top lid?
Yes.
And when you examined that, was it contained in a bag? It also had like a black computer laptop bag?
Yeah.
And you've seen that recently as well?
Yes.
Is that what's contained in State's Exhibit 89?
I believe so, yes.
And you examined some phones as well?
Correct.
I'll lock these up. State's Exhibit 79 has been introduced as a Kyocera flip phone. Is that the phone you examined?
Yes.
And State's Exhibit 94 is an LG touchscreen phone. Is that the phone you examined?
Yes.
So with regard to the two computers, State's Exhibit 86 and 89, did you perform a forensic examination on those two machines?
Yes.
Can you describe what you did in general?
I take pictures of the device. I then remove the hard drive out of it. In the case of the desktop, it actually had 2 hard drives. I then create what's called a forensic image of that hard drive, which essentially just means it's an exact copy of the data that's on the hard drive, but there's some checks in there to make sure that it is an exact copy. I then do all of my analysis using that copy. I use several different software tools to do that. One of those is called X-Ways Forensic, that just allows you to browse and search and a bunch of other things. Another program I use is called Internet Evidence Finder, or IEF for short, and it looks more for specific artifacts, and actually its specialty is web browser history and chat messages. The other thing I do is I take that and I essentially boot the copy of those computers on my computer so I can kind of see how it looked to the user using something called virtual machines. Once I do all that, I bookmark the things that I think will be important, and I provide that to the investigators.
And so when I boot up my computer, I know down in like the right-hand corner it tells me the day and time.
Yeah.
Did you examine these 2 computers to see if the date and time stamps were accurate on them?
Yes, what I do is I go into the BIOS while the hard drive is disconnected, which is that thing you initially see when it starts up that kind of controls it at the basic level. And I look at the date and time there. The desktop computer was correct, and the laptop computer was only 2 minutes off, so they were essentially correct.
Did you do something to examine the computer to see if you could tell, just based on the contents of the computer, who was it that used the computer?
Yes.
How do you do that?
I go through and look and see what stuff is there that indicates who used it. So in this case, you can look at things like he had some chat applications installed, and the username that he used was InGoToJohn89. There were some documents that were on them that indicated they were written by Mr. GoToJohn. You can look at the saved logins for websites in his web browser, and those all indicated InGoToJohn89 as well. And there's also pictures that were taken and videos that were taken with the webcam on them, and they showed him as well.
As you looked at these 2 computers, was there anything about the way they were set up, or the accounts were set up on them, that was perhaps more sophisticated or different than what a typical user would do in your experience?
There was some things that were a little different. He had several cleaning programs installed, but the big thing was his encryption setup.
First, let's talk a little bit about the cleaning programs. What do you mean by a cleaning program?
There are programs that are intended to try and make your computer run faster. So in doing so, it normally removes a lot of things. With that, it also erases a lot of the history of what the user has done on the computer.
Such that if it's been cleaned by the cleaner, you wouldn't be able to recover it if it had done it properly.
Correct. In theory, if it cleans it correctly, all of that evidence would be gone. One of the programs he had installed, he had at least 2. One of them was actually scheduled to run 3 times a week, so it would have been running pretty frequently.
In spite of those programs, were you able to find some artifacts and data on the computers relevant to this case?
Yes, I found that program that was scheduled to run did not erase everything. It was not erasing stuff correctly if you wanted to leave nothing behind.
And so, is that a user error or a problem with the program itself?
It's a problem with the program itself. If he was to pull up his web browser and look at his web history, there wouldn't be any there. But it was still leaving data behind in the databases that the history is stored in.
So as the user of that computer, I would think it was working properly.
Correct.
You mentioned something about encryption. Can you tell us what you meant by that?
Yeah, so the desktop computer had 2 hard drives. The first I just used for storage, but that hard drive was encrypted with a encryption method called BitLocker. It's built into versions of Windows, and it allows you to encrypt a partition. So a partition is a subdivision of a hard drive. But in this case, this drive only had one partition on it that filled the entire drive, so essentially the entire drive was encrypted.
So if I can stop you for a second, if I think of my hard drive as like a pie shape or a circle, a
Yeah.
partition would be like a slice of that pie.
It would be,
But here is the whole drive.
correct.
Okay. And then you were starting to explain further.
So inside of that, once I was able to decrypt that, there were folders on that drive that had then been encrypted with another method. So this other method allows you to do individual files and folders. So BitLocker does the entire partition, and this method called encrypting file system, or EFS, another method built into Windows, allows you to do specific files and folders, and there were a couple folders and their contents that had been encrypted with that method also.
And so in that second method, did any of those files or folders relate to anyone involved in this case?
Yes.
Who?
There was a folder titled My Dear Gypsy that had numerous videos from her, and that was the folder that was encrypted. One of them.
Are you familiar with Google Chrome?
Yes.
Can you tell us what that is briefly?
It is a web browser.
Okay. And did the defendant use Google Chrome?
Yes.
Was there something about how Google Chrome was set up on these two computers that was of note?
Yeah, he had Google Chrome on both computers, and he was signed into his Google account on both of them. So when you do that, it allows data to sync back and forth between them. So the things you bookmark will show up on both, the passwords that you save will show up on both, and some of your web history will also be transferred from one to the other.
As you examined these computers and later the phones, did you see evidence of communication between the defendant, Nicholas John, and Gypsy Blanchard?
Yes.
Can you briefly describe, well, before I get to that, did you know, as you were looking at those communications and things on the computer, were there some things that are perhaps important to understand that will help us understand the communications?
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
There were two things. One is they would refer to different aspects of their personalities as different names. So Go to John would be Victor or my evil side, and Gypsy had names like Candy, Bella, Demona, Ruby, and there may have been some others. Secondly, they had what I've come to refer to as their signature salutation. So most of the time when they would stop talking to each other, closing out a conversation, they would say something to the effect of, I love, worship, and adore you. I may have that order wrong. And they would refer to each other as their twin flame soulmate. Most all of their communications when it ended had one or both of those.
Describe the types of communications just in general that you found.
There was messages from Skype between the two of them. There were stories, sexual stories that were saved on there that were likely exchanged, and there were numerous videos that they had recorded where they were talking to each other.
You mentioned Skype. What is Skype?
Skype is a communication program, so it can be used to do chat messages, chat communication. It can be used to do audio calls, it can be used to do video calls, and it can be used to do screen sharing, where you can show someone else your computer screen.
So if I were using Skype, might I text or chat with someone to say, hey, let's get online and talk to each other?
You could.
And then I might have a live session where we're just talking face to face.
Correct.
And the chat portion might be recorded, whereas typically the face-to-face wouldn't be. Is that fair to say?
Correct. There would be a record of the call taking place and normally how long it lasted, but what is said during that call is not recorded in any way.
And did you locate a Skype chat message which discussed where the defendant was discussing plans involving Gypsy's mother?
Yes.
I'm going to show you a disc from Mark that states Exhibit 158. Do you recognize that disc?
Yes.
Is that the disc on which we prepared the exhibit of that Skype chat message?
Yes.
And how do you know it's that disc?
My initials and DSN are on there.
So when we look at what's on the disc, is that going to appear just like it would have appeared on the screen
No.
for the user or something different?
No, it's going to be the software program I use, Internet Evidence Finder, essentially turns it into a web page and turns it into a grid. And so this is going to be just a screenshot of that grid of information.
Almost like a spreadsheet,
Yes.
different columns. And so, for example, it might show when a live session started and ended,
Yes.
and then also show the typed chat and the content of that chat.
Correct.
I move to admit State's Exhibit 158.
The objection is noted. It will be admitted over objection.
We're going to blow up what's in the boxes, but just in general, this is that sort of table you were telling us about? Yeah. And this is from a chat that occurred, it's small here, but on March 29th of 2015. And it shows the author as Nicholas Goderjohn.
Correct.
And the recipient as Allie No.
Correct.
All right, so having blown that up, would you go ahead and read the chat message to the jury from Nicholas Goderjohn?
Gypsy went on a mother's type of group on Facebook and talked about our story on what we planned on doing. You see, me and her are planning on having a baby next year as a way to stay together, so her mom has no choice but to let us be together. But you see, I saw comments on her post to that group that was bad-mouthing me, and she just took it like, wow, okay, I'm a wait. And it had to do with finding someone better than me.
Were you able to examine the defendant's browser history or web history on these two computers?
Yes.
And can you just, in general, talk about what we mean by that, browser history or web history?
It would be the websites that were visited in Google Chrome.
And so is part of that just sort of looking at the history, like we'd be familiar with in our computer or where we've been?
It would be, but there's some complications with it in this case.
Why don't you talk about that?
Okay, so that the cleaning program that I mentioned earlier, that was supposed to be wiping all of the web history, was only wiping a portion of it. So when Chrome is pulling this information up, it pulls it from multiple different sources, and it was essentially only erasing one source. So we have web history, but it is not a complete picture of all of the web history. And then there's sometimes you don't know exactly which computer it was visited on because of the sync taking place between the two. But in addition to that, there is something called fav icons, which is short for favorite icons. So these are the icons that show up next to the title of the web page in the top menu bar or a tab. When you're looking at your history, it's the icons show up next to it or bookmarks. They're normally for most places, like the icon for a company or something if you're visiting a company website.
So like, for example, if I went to Walmart.com, that sort of yellow flower thing, symbol
Yes.
would be the icon.
Yeah.
Or if I went to Amazon.com, it might be that I can't figure what it looks like exactly, but their icon for their business.
Correct. So what Chrome does is it saves those icons, and then it saves the websites that were visited that were associated with those icons. With that, it saves the last time that the icon was updated. So you have a date and time associated with the icon, but you don't have a date and time associated with the specific sites that were visited. So when you have these dates and times, you know that they were visiting, like if you have one for Walmart, you know that they were on some form of Walmart site at that time, but you don't know specifically which part of Walmart they were on.
When you were looking at the browsing history and the fave icons, were you able to locate information about the defendant coming to Springfield, Missouri?
Yes.
Were you able to locate information where he had browsed to sites looking at weapons or other articles that might be used in a murder?
Yes.
And have we put those things that you found together on a disk
Yes.
information?
Yes.
And how do you recognize that as being that disk?
It has my initials in DSM.
I moved to United States Exhibit 159.
I'll show that I admitted over objection.
Right, so on this title slide, it's that for the desktop computer, and that Z number would be the evidence barcode number for that computer, correct?
Correct.
The first thing we're going to look at is some of those favorite icons from the desktop computer.
Yes.
And so the block that we've blown up there, that's just a blow up of what's underneath, right, on the chart?
Correct.
And so on March 16th of 2015, a visit to Springfield, Lily Squirrel.
Correct. So that won't necessarily be the specific time that that page was visited, but that would be a time that lilysquirrel.net was visited.
And then what's the second one that came up?
Flowerama of Springfield.com,
And the date?
March 16th of 2015. And copsplus.com/handcuffs. That is March 14th of 2015.
Then on this next page, we're still on the Chrome Fave icons.
That is something that Time Warner Cable does whenever you try to visit a site that is down or doesn't exist. So bondagetape.com was the site that was attempted to be visited, but it was either down or did not exist at that time. And that's March 10th of 2015, or May 10th of 2015. That's symtoys.com with bondage tape. Same date. And lovehoney.com, blog 2014, September 30, bondage tape. AlanEve.com, adult sex toys, kinky bondage, SP sex, mischief, bondage tape.
Now we're moving to part of the report that dealt with web history from the desktop computer, correct?
Correct. So here is Walmart.com, March 19th, 2015 at 3:28 p.m. With this one, it is unknown for sure which computer this visit would have happened on.
And I think you said March 19th. Did you mean May 19th?
May 19th, 2015.
From there, we're going to switch back to the fave icons on the desktop computer. And did you find things associated with that visit to Walmart.com on May 19th?
Possibly on that day. So that is a Walmart.com search for bondage tape. A Walmart.com search for taser. A Walmart.com search for knives. This one is the search for knives on Walmart.com, but you see at the end category tactical knives. When you search on Walmart for knives, it gives you other options to narrow down your search on the side. Tactical knives is one of those categories, so category tactical knives shows he drilled down into that category. That is a specific entry for a specific knife. Another knife, and a third knife.
I'm going to switch to the laptop computer, and again, that Z number is the barcode number for that computer.
Correct.
And looking at the favorite icons.
That is an Amazon page for double locking steel police handcuffs.
Date.
May 28, 2015, but again, that just shows that Amazon was visited at that time. There's no guarantee it's that specific website that was visited. And eBay.com, that is a search for tasers.
And the rest of these underneath that are also eBay searches for tasers, just with the small part of the search shown.
Yes. Taser, search for taser, a search for taser gun. That's a specific listing for a guard dog 65 million volt police stun gun. And a search for taser gun.
Now back to the desktop web history.
That is a visit on May 31st, 2015 to Greyhound.com, specifically a page dealing with tickets and travel. May 31st, 2015, that's the same one. Then a visit for a page on baggage information, and then a PDF on their prohibited items list. That is a visit on June 3rd, 2015 to filmingcops.com/tases handcuffed girl to death.
On June 3rd, 2015.
Correct. Another visit to Greyhound.com. With that specific one, we won't know exactly which device that one was on.
On June 7th of 2015.
Correct. And then on June 8th, 2015 at 7:46 a.m., a visit to taxifarefinder.com. And then just a short while later, a specific search for what was his address to the bus station in Milwaukee.
And going to the laptop web history.
Taxi Fare Finder, June 8th of 2015 at 7:46 a.m. And this is an example of one that was probably transferred during the sync. So that's the exact same one on the other, but there was more detail on the other. That is June 9th, 2015 at 1:40 p.m. and that is the web page for the Days Inn in Springfield on I-44. All of that there is consistent with logging into the hotel Wi-Fi of the Days Inn in Springfield on I-44. And that was June 9th, 2015 at 5:42 p.m.
If I understand you correctly, so like when I go to the hotel and I check in and I want to get on the Wi-Fi, I turn on my computer, and when I do that, the first thing I have to do before I can go to Google or Amazon or whatever is I have to log in to the hotel's Wi-Fi system.
Yeah, most places require you to do that. That is a taxi fare finder, June 10th, 2015 at 1:01 a.m. for going from the Days Inn to 2103 West Volunteer Way. And at 1:14 a.m., a Google Maps lookup for that same address, the victim's address.
And so if I'm not familiar with Google Maps, it would allow me to go and look at either the map or even a satellite view of that location.
It could, yeah.
And that's at what time again?
1:14 a.m. on June 10th, 2015.
And after that Google Maps, is there a break in activity?
Yes.
And then back to the Days Inn?
Yes, at 10:17 p.m. that same day.
June 10th. So I want to talk about Exhibit 94, that the LG phone with the flat screen on it. Did you examine that?
Yes.
Were you able to, from its content, could you identify its user?
Yes.
How and who?
It was Gypsy's phone. The Google account, it was an Android phone. The Google account link was in her name. There were email accounts added to it that were in her name. There were outgoing text messages that never went through that said, hey, it's Gypsy. And then there were some selfies that were found on the micro SD that was in the phone.
Were you able to tell if this phone had cell service?
I don't believe it did.
Why?
There were no calls, and there were no outgoing text messages that worked, and the only incoming messages were Amber Alerts and weather alerts, which you receive whether you have cell service or not.
Could that phone still then be used to communicate via SMS or text message with someone?
It could through a couple of different ways.
Did you find evidence that this phone had been used in that way, in one of those ways? Tell us about that.
It can still be put on Wi-Fi, and on Wi-Fi you can use any app that would allow you to do that. In this case, she had Yahoo Messenger installed, and there were messages sent to cell phone numbers.
Did you also examine, we talked already and we've already admitted, States Exhibit 79, the Kyocera flip phone. When you looked at it, were you able to tell who the user of that phone was?
Yes.
How?
There were messages addressing the user. It was Mr. Godejohn's phone. There were messages addressing the user as Nick. There was a contact list entry for mom, and I was told by investigators that that number was his mom's number, and there was a selfie taken with the phone.
As you looked at States Exhibit 94, the LG phone, and the States Exhibit 79, the Kyocera flip phone, that was the defendant's, could you tell that those two devices had communicated?
They did.
How do you know that?
A conversation on the LG phone, the messages matched exactly with messages that were on the Kyocera phone. The Kyocera phone had more messages, but the messages that were still on the LG phone matched exactly.
And what messaging service was Gypsy Blanchard using on her phone?
She was using Yahoo Messenger on hers.
And so when I use Yahoo Messenger, when we look at these texts later, does it say this is from Gypsy, or how does that appear?
It just appears as a number. So the first time you receive a, if you're the person on the texting end, the first time you receive a message from someone through Yahoo Messenger, it comes from the number 924-665 and then 01. If a second person was to contact you, it comes through as 924-665-02. So in this case, he had two conversations with 924-665-06 and 07. The 07 conversation matched up with the conversation from Gypsy's phone, and it actually switches back and forth. You can tell from the conversation that 06 is Gypsy also. I mean, it switches back and forth as their conversation goes on over a couple weeks.
And so with Yahoo Messenger, can I either do that from a mobile device like a phone or also from a laptop or some other kind of computing device?
Correct. You could do that from anywhere you have access to Yahoo Messenger, whether it be a phone app, a computer app, or even their website.
And the messages you found, did those go back to May 27th?
Yes.
And for the disk we put together, does it end then on June 10th of 2015?
Yes.
And did we put together a disk that contains those text messages you found between the defendant and Gypsy Blanchard?
Yes.
Is that what is on this disk labeled State's Exhibit 160?
Yes.
And you recognize that disk?
Yes, it has my initials in DSM.
And you've reviewed it?
Yes.
And does it fairly and accurately capture that text conversation between the defendant and Gypsy Blanchard?
Yes.
And because it has that to and from that 624 number, did we add a box, a pink box with the label Gypsy for the ones from her phone?
Yes.
And a blue box for the ones with the defendant, for the ones from the defendant?
Yes.
I move to admit State's Exhibit 160.
I'll show that admitted over objection.
And we then sort of slide with the dates when we transition from one date to another. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then to aid the jury, would you please read the text to them?
Yes.
Can you see from where you're sitting, or would it be easier
I think so.
for us to put a chair over there?
I think I did.
Okay.
Beginning Wednesday, May 27th of 2015. Gypsy, what was it for, hon?
And that's just where the first text you could find started, correct?
Correct. Defendant, that was my evil side who did that. You know my good side would never call you that, hon. Maybe a bitch when you're being one, but that is all, hon. Well, it's all true, hon, and it was about voices in my head, but instead of getting rid of them, they became part of me, baby. How it works is based on my thoughts and feelings, dear. Depends on what part of me shows, honey. Gypsy, I understand, hon. But that don't mean I don't understand you. I do. Defendant, well, maybe after I explained it, you understand, sweetie. Otherwise, no one else understands, hon. Gypsy, well, I do. You understood me in my different ways. Defendant, well, we're supposed to understand each other if we just know how to express each other, dear. Heart emoji.
If we may, before we go any further, because the court reporter is recording everything he's saying, Mr. Patterson, he's reading verbatim from 160. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you want the court reporter to report it exactly as he's reading it? Mr. Perry? I'm just trying to think, there's 800 of these.
I think it needs to be.
You do?
Yes,
All right.
it's on the record.
Okay.
Gypsy, sometimes I'm too expressive, LOL or laugh out loud. Defendant, not really, because expression involves details and you know I'm better at that, hun. Gypsy, yes you are, but I too want everything you do too. Defendant, what do you mean? Gypsy, everything you said you want, I want too. To be together. Defendant, honey, this is where we're different though. I don't just want everything with you, but I need everything with you for me to feel complete, sweetheart. Heart emoji. Gypsy, I need you too. Promise me the good part of you will never die. BTW, or by the way, I'm on FB too. FB is probably Facebook. Defendant, really dear, because at times I wonder if you need me. Baby, it could never die. Gypsy, I do need you. It kills me to make you have to be on these ups and downs. Defendant, honey, you would not mind using a sweet name every once in a while. It helps me remember I'm worshipped, hon. Gypsy, sure, sweetie. Defendant, that's better, dear. Heart emoji. Gypsy, it's not that I don't worship you. I do, baby. I do, and I look forward to being with you. I'm just dealing with everything changing, hun. Defendant, about you or exactly what changes, dear? Gypsy, the move, the change that's coming. Darling, I'm scared. Defendant, scared of what, my love? Gypsy, of everything. I'm not good with change, baby. Defendant, everything? Sweetheart, we both have that in common when it has to do with moving, dear. Gypsy, I'm going to be okay. I just needed to calm down and take a breath. But darling, my feelings for you will never change. Heart emoji. I'm yours and you do make me happy. Defendant, I hope they never change because you scare me at times, dear. Heart emoji. I hope so, honey, because I put my mind, heart, and soul into being with you and making you happy, sweetie. Heart emoji. Gypsy, my feelings won't change, and though I have freakouts, I always come back to you, my love. I'm so sorry I scared you. I'll give you lots of love in the hotel, baby. Defendant, well, that's reassuring, dear. I needed that. Heart emoji. After doing what my evil side said, hun? Gypsy, I reassured you on FB too, hun. Heart emoji.
So sometimes does it appear that they're communicating on more than one format at a time, Facebook as well as texting?
Yes. Yes, baby. Defendant, okay, baby. Heart emoji. Gypsy, you said don't let anything in our way. I wore myself out with being emotional. Defendant, it's true, dear. I'm guessing you have a correlation to that when I said it, dear. Heart emoji. Defendant, it's true, dear. I'm guessing you have a correlation to that when I said it, dear. Heart emoji.
Is it possible you just took a double picture of that one as you were photographing all this?
I may have. Gypsy, sorry, hon, I took a nap. Defendant, I thought you did, dear. Heart emoji. Gypsy, I hope you feel better now, hon, because I do. Defendant, I just needed to be reassured, hon. Heart emoji. Gypsy, okay, darling. Well, I love, adore, and worship you, my everything, and I'm not giving up.
Is that example of that signature salutation you spoke of?
Yes. XOXOXOXOX, which is slang for hugs and kisses. Defendant, that's music to my ears, sweetie. Heart emoji. Gypsy, big smile. Defendant, Dear, will there be less of these freakouts in person? Gypsy, yes, darling. When we're together, I will be a lot more relaxed. Mostly because we can use hugs, kisses, and body language to prevent it. Defendant, true, and sex will relieve us of the stress, dear. Gypsy, LOL, laugh out loud, that too, hun. Defendant, yes, dear, heart emoji. Gypsy, a lot of our problems are we don't have a physical relationship, hun, so it's hard, hun. Defendant, true, I suppose most of our problems are physical related, dear. Gypsy, and I want you to know being with me won't be hell, it will be much better, sweetie. Defendant, when exactly, dear, since you got me curious? Gypsy, well, I'm going to start now, but I'll be all the way better when we see each other, hun. Defendant, all right, dear, heart emoji. Gypsy, do I make you happy? Defendant, when you don't have your freakouts, yes, dear. Gypsy, maybe you might like me better in person. BTW, or by the way, I'm afraid of bugs, just so you know, hun. Defendant, bugs? Dear, there is no reason for that, and you know I'll worship you either way, whether in person or from afar, heart emoji. Gypsy, I'm just letting you know my phobia, it's bugs and spiders. I always feel like crap after I freak out because we're caught in the middle. I can't stay even an hour away from me and you. Defendant, and spiders, that's also something harmless to you most of the time, hun. It's meant to be that way though, dear. Gypsy, it's just my fears, hun. So you take your little creepy, buggy friends and escort them out the house. Defendant, exactly, dear. And don't worry about bugs, they're harmless, hun. Gypsy, so we're all cool, sweetheart? Defendant, yes, hun, it's just your freakouts that scare me, honey. Gypsy, we have that in common, hun. Defendant, of course we do, dear, heart emoji. Thursday, May 28, 2015. Gypsy, we are all lovey again, my cutie pie. Defendant, that's great news, my Ellie. Heart emoji, smiley face emoji. Gypsy, aw, my dear Carl. Meet me on Facebook, my love. Defendant, hun, I'm glad you picked up on that reference, heart emoji. Gypsy, LOL, laugh out loud, nice job, cap up. Defendant, I knew you would catch on to it, dear. Gypsy, darling, will you tell me the movie you want to watch with me yet? Defendant, oh, the same one I have as a surprise? No, dear, it's a surprise. Gypsy, really? LOL, OMG, laugh out loud, oh my God. Do you have it? Defendant, no, but we'll buy it together, sweetie. Gypsy, okay, hon. Oh, if I show you a YouTube clip of a TV show, would you tell me if you would watch it with me, hon? Defendant, well, I have to see the clip first, dear. Friday, May 29th, 2015. Gypsy, hey, handsome. Defendant, hey, gorgeous. Gypsy, drool makes you horny, LOL, laugh out loud. You're weird. Defendant, baby, you'll understand when you experience it, heart emoji. Gypsy, darling, I'm safe. Long story, but tornado warning was issued. Defendant, that's good news, dear, heart emoji. Gypsy, darling, can you please meet me online? We need to talk about our plan. Defendant, okay, honey, heart emoji. Gypsy, I'm still daddy's girl, hold me, and yes, it's kitty, daddy. Defendant, baby, why didn't you answer daddy before, as I hold you in my lap? Gypsy, I was taking tummy med to make me feel better, so I put my phone down. Saturday, May 30th, 2015. Defendant, okay, honey, just never change on daddy because I never want you to be anything but daddy's everything as I rock you back and forth in my arms on my lap. Gypsy, I won't change, daddy. I curl into your shoulders and cuddle. Defendant, I keep rocking you back and forth in my arms on my lap. Are you my same daddy's girl that I reminded you of being in the past, dear? Gypsy, hey baby. Darling, does your house have any kind of car? I'm looking on Google Maps. Defendant, dear, it depends on how updated their world map is. Last time I looked, it wasn't the right vehicle. Gypsy, wow, it's a small place. LOL, laugh out loud. Defendant, yeah, it's small to a degree. Gypsy, I looked at the population and it's smaller than the smallest town I've lived in. I thought 7,800 was small. Defendant, like I said, it used to be a village, now it's a town. Gypsy, I'll adjust, LOL, laugh out loud. Besides, smaller, less trouble. Defendant, I hope so because it should be easy one to transcend to heart emoji. Gypsy, are you ready? Like in all ways, hon. Defendant, what do you mean, dear? Gypsy, for me. Defendant, if I wasn't, I wouldn't be so eager to be living with you, dear. Gypsy, I was supposed to get pregnant in a week and a half. Defendant, okay, hon, so what are you saying? Gypsy, I just feel sad I'm not. Defendant, oh, I see, hon. Gypsy, part of me is really worried about my tube. What if I could have it taken out being pregnant? Defendant, you said you would have it taken out. Gypsy, could you wait like 10 months for plan B? Defendant, so you want me to get you pregnant again? Gypsy, I'm getting it changed, hon. Defendant, oh, because for a second I thought you wanted me to get you pregnant again, dear. Gypsy, I just was wondering, does Big Ben have a hospital? Besides, I'm late on my period. Defendant, no. Okay. Gypsy, gotcha. Defendant, MHN, MHM. Gypsy, let's move to Milwaukee smiley emoji. We can stay with your mom for a little. Defendant, Milwaukee? I'd rather be living in Waukesha, hon. Gypsy, okay, darling, we can look up apartments in Waukesha. And with the 5,000 I have, we will be set. Defendant, good idea, dear. Heart emoji. Gypsy, I don't need to marry you to live with you. So we can take our time with wedding. I saw Waukesha looks beautiful. And I can paint and sell my art. Defendant, dear, I know that, but you mean our 5,000. True, baby. Gypsy, yes, our darling. Smiley emoji. Gypsy, and who knows, maybe after a while we can have a ceremony like a wedding, hon. You would make a handsome groom. Defendant, and we'll live in my birth city, hon. Heart emoji. Hopefully live close to Woodman's so we get our groceries extremely cheap, dear. Heart emoji. Gypsy, Waukesha would be a dream come true, sweetheart. Defendant, hun, we're still going to follow our kind's traditions, though, dear. Heart emoji. Gypsy, of course, darling. Defendant, I look forward to it, my dear. Heart emoji. Gypsy, I look forward to cuddles. I dreamt about it. And you gave me oral sex. Defendant, maybe so, but I look forward to kissing you. Heart emoji. As I will do in the future. Gypsy, blushes. Defendant, well, it's true, baby. Gypsy, will you give me my first orgasm soon, my love? Will you finger me on the bus? I desire pleasure too, hon. Defendant, I may be naughty on the bus, just depends on the moment, depends on how naughty, heart emoji. Gypsy, well, I'm going to touch you, winking face emoji. And I'm going to kiss you too everywhere. Defendant, dear, I may give you permission to, heart emoji, winking face emoji. Gypsy, good darling, smiley face emoji. Defendant, as for the kissing, you know you can do that on my body, sweetie, heart emoji. Gypsy, the first movie I want to watch with you is 50 Shades of Grey. I also think we should start with soft, wet anal sex before big time anal. Let's talk on Facebook, LOL, laugh out loud. Defendant, dear, I'll watch that with you to get us in the mood, which depends on the time. It could be a later movie, dear. As for anal, don't worry about that because it's my job as your master too, dear. Gypsy, you make my girly parts tingle. Defendant, I'm glad I do because I'm supposed to, hon. Gypsy, I'm thinking about you in a naughty way. Defendant, that's good, heart emoji. Sunday, May 31st, 2015. Gypsy, you're a great daddy, and thank you for doing the worst for the best of us. Defendant, you're welcome, my dear. Gypsy, looking at your movie lights and music, we couldn't be more opposite. I like country, you like metal. I like drama, you like comedy. Goodness, this is awkward. Well, I'll expand my interests. Defendant, those are just a few, hon. Gypsy, I do like the animated ones. Defendant, we have more in common than you may think. Gypsy, darling, please read what I said. Defendant, okay, hon. Gypsy, good morning, my love of my life. You know what? I'm going to start wearing a ring because I want to feel married to you, so one of my rings from the girly shop, Claire, will do. Defendant, okay, hon, and sorry I didn't answer until now. Gypsy, I need to tell you a secret, hon. Defendant, go ahead, dear. Gypsy, I never stopped sucking pedicure from a baby bottle. Defendant, baby, I already knew that. Gypsy, you know? How? Defendant, baby girl, seriously, do you not understand that I am with you spiritually? I experience everything with you, dear, heart emoji. That's why there is no point in hiding things from me. Gypsy, oh, okay, hon. Are you with me when I'm naked? I'm going to church, hon. Defendant, okay, hon, and I'm with you at all times, heart emoji. Gypsy, darling, I'm 100% with the plan. Defendant, what do you mean, dear? Gypsy, I'm in for it, hon. No doubts. Defendant, okay, darling. Gypsy, that's all just okay. I was expecting IDK, or I don't know, joy, I guess. Defendant, dear, of course I'm happy, heart emoji. Gypsy, okay, good, sweetie. What's your stepdad's name, just so I know? Defendant, Charlie. That is what it is, hon. Gypsy, okay, darling, cool. Defendant, yes, dear. Gypsy, please be online. Defendant, okay, darling. Monday, June 1st, 2015. Gypsy, so you won't end this? Defendant, I'm not saying anything besides it's a waste of time. Gypsy, get your ass back now. As I'm concerned, I'm going to rip you a new one. Defendant, that's not worth it. I always fight for us. It's your turn for once. Gypsy, me, how the hell am I going to fight if it's one-sided? What will I wear to impress your folks? I'm going to go with you, goddammit. Defendant, I told you I'll let you know in person. Why do you say it that way? Gypsy, I'm me again. I'm sorry, my love. Defendant, dear, you gave me another scare. Gypsy, okay, well, good night, hon. I don't know what's wrong with me. Do you know? Defendant, come on, baby. I know you can bond with me better than that. I love, adore, and worship you, my dear true love. Gypsy, I just did it online. At the same time. I didn't mean it when I called a life with you trash. Defendant, dear, it's about the sex like I told you before. The sooner I give you a orgasm, the sooner you go back to your lovey-dovey, happy self, hun, heart emoji. But I just said it back to you, sweetie, heart emoji. Please say it back, sweetie, heart emoji. Gypsy, so sex is like a tranquilizer, LOL, laugh out loud. Defendant, baby, someday you'll how important it is in our life, heart emoji. Gypsy, just forget all I said tonight. Defendant, why you say that? Gypsy, I never meant any hurtful thing. I'm in self-destruction mode. When I'm like that, ignore me. Defendant, well, all I could do is hope you come back, honey. Gypsy, I want to be with you. Defendant, I know, dear, you scared me, though. I thought I lost you. Gypsy, you almost did. I think I'm bipolar. Defendant, what? Baby, I don't want to lose you, though, and you told me that I couldn't ever lose. Now I worry I will. Gypsy, well, it's more I would push you away until you walked away. I can't leave, but I can make you leave. Defendant, baby, is that supposed to be comforting? Gypsy, in a way, yes, hun. Defendant, please don't push me away too hard, hun. Gypsy, is there medication for bipolar, hun? Defendant, baby, if I did let you take medication for that, are you thinking it would help? Gypsy, ow, massive migraine, I'm not sure it could be the distance. Because I would have jogged to Wisconsin that night I met Y. You. Defendant, so are you saying it will get better once we're in person? Gypsy, yes, darling, that's exactly what I'm saying. I'll still have mood swings, just not severe ones like tonight. Defendant, baby, please say it because I'm worried still, and it would be nice to be comforted right now. Gypsy, sweetie, please don't be worried. I'm not going anywhere. Well, I'm going with you, but I mean I'm by your side, hon. The ups and downs will balance out with us being together in person. Defendant, you know what I want to do after tonight's scare, hun? Gypsy, have sex, LOL, laugh out loud, nudges your arm. Defendant, baby, do you remember the tangled post I gave you a while ago? Gypsy, of course, hon. You want to hit me with a frying pan, tongue sticking out emoji? Defendant, I want to do that right, just so I know you aren't going anywhere. Yes, the tangled post when both tied each other up. I wish I could just so you would be stuck with me, heart emoji. Gypsy, you are with a little red string, heart emoji, kisses your forehead. Defendant, how, hon? Gypsy, we are tied by our souls and hearts. I might tie you up in a kinky way, LOL, laugh out loud. Defendant, honey, I'm warning you though, you ever give me a scare like that in person, I will tie you up until I'm sure you aren't going anywhere. Because I want to make sure we never part, dear, heart emoji. Gypsy, I won't do it in person. You're all I would have in this life. Hi, sweetie. I got rest and I'm myself again, baby. Tuesday, June 2nd, 2015. Gypsy, I'm 100,000% in, hon. I'm ready truly. Defendant, why do you say that, baby? Gypsy, because I finally allow myself to accept you are my everything. I will go with you and live our dream. Defendant, okay, hon. Gypsy, darling, I am so sorry about last night. I'm completely different. I'm your woman. Defendant, okay, dear. Gypsy, and I will be truly your everything. I know I've been up and down, but darling, in 9 days, I'm yours forever. Defendant, true, hon. True, baby. Gypsy, and yes, I'm going to fight like hell for us, baby. Do you forgive me, darling? Defendant, baby, you had a couple questions to answer online. Gypsy, please read, hon. Defendant, okay, dear. Gypsy, BTW, by the way, I trashed my old broken laptop. So we can just use one computer together, hon. Defendant, here I answered you, and what about all the memories of us on your computer, sweetie? Gypsy, I saved them, but fuck you. You don't get it, do you? Never mind. Defendant, dear, what the heck? Gypsy, I tried being there for you. All you do is make me cry. I give everything for you. Defendant, I was trying to be nice while explaining myself, then you say that. Dear, that was uncalled for. Explaining. Gypsy, I always put my best. And you say 90% bullshit. Defendant, baby, I don't only make you cry, I have given you plenty of happy memories. Gypsy, who puts up with your overbearing ways, your ridiculous political shit? Defendant, dear, I'm not trying to argue with you, so please stop. Gypsy, I was in a romantic mood, now you screwed that to hell. Defendant, well, sorry, I'll leave you alone. All you do is push me away. Gypsy, sadly, 10 minutes ago, all I wanted was to snuggle with you. Defendant, dear, just stop talking to me. You're only going to make things worse. Since apparently now I know I can't open up to you just because of that, you keep bitching. Gypsy, I opened up. I was what you wanted and you pushed me away. Defendant, yeah, you told me to F off. I guess I'll punch you back. Gypsy, why couldn't you have just been loving? I'm sorry, hon. Look, please don't fight. Just try to understand I was saying how much I need you. And you basically call me a faker. Defendant, I didn't push you away. All I did was explain, and you told me off. If that is how you feel, then I guess I can't make you happy anymore. Sorry, I'm a failure to you. Gypsy, can we please talk online? Please, we're going to be living together soon. Shouldn't we at least try and make this work? You are safe from me now. I did the right thing. Defendant, dear, I hope you come back. Gypsy, you are free, sweetie. Heart emoji. You don't have a bitch of a girl now. Defendant, free, yes, free to die. Bye, my love. Gypsy, daddy, crying. What do you mean? Question mark. My love? Nicholas, answer me. Defendant, sweetie, if Bella doesn't come back, I don't want anyone else, so I'll end it. My darling daughter, just know that Daddy always worshipped you. Gypsy. In what? I don't understand, Daddy. Defendant. I'm gone. Buy my everything. I'll miss you all, and time to end it all. Gypsy. Wait, Daddy, wait. Please end us. You mean you won't be mine anymore? Defendant. What does my daughter want before I go to hell? Gypsy. I want you to stay with me. You said you was coming to get me. Defendant. Bella doesn't want me, so no one will have me but her, so I'll go to hell then, if I can't have her. Gypsy. She does want you. She needs you. You have had lots of girlfriends. You're handsome. Defendant. I'm done. Bye, my love. You say you need me, but you broke us off, so I cut myself off. If you don't stop me in time, because without you, I'm nothing. Gypsy. Are you threatening to kill yourself? You can't. Defendant. Why? Gypsy. Because if you do, then I will as well. Defendant. Then come back before I do it, because you know I always back up my words. Gypsy. Please, please don't do it, my love. Please, please. I want you, I do, but I'm bad for you. Stay with me, please. Defendant. I'm about to put the blade on my wrist and let it bleed if you don't come back within the next 3 minutes. Gypsy. I'm here, my love. I'm back. Look, I'm going on FB now for Facebook. Defendant. Then I'll put the blade away for now. You better get online if you mean what you are saying. Gypsy. Huge kiss for the one I missed.
And that's several hours later, right? The one on the left is at 4:09 a.m. and the other is at 6:11 p.m.
Yes. Defendant. Okay, dear. Heart emoji, kissing face emoji, heart emoji. Sweetie, I hope you are on soon because I'm missing you, heart emoji. Gypsy. Darling, I'm missing you too. Just let me take a small nap. Okay, baby. XOXOX. Defendant. Okay, sweetie. Sweet dreams, my darling. Heart emoji. Gypsy. Darling, I'm on now, but read a message sent to on our joint account. It's your cousin. He wants to go fishing. Defendant. Okay, sweetie. Heart emoji. Wednesday, June 3rd. Gypsy. Hi, darling. I'm sorry I fell asleep last night without telling you good night. Defendant. It's all right, hon. I've noticed, though, you're on a lot less often than you used to be, dear. Gypsy. I explained, hon. I'm on right now, baby. Defendant. Okay, sweetie. Thursday, June 4th, 2015. Gypsy. Sending hugs and kisses. Defendant. Thanks, sweetie. Sweetie. Gypsy. Good afternoon, darling. Defendant. Good afternoon, sweetie. Gypsy. Oh my God, I had so many sex dreams of you last night. Defendant. Of all different kinds, dear? Gypsy. Yes, darling. Defendant. Okay, sweetie. Gypsy. Warning, I'm in a very sexual mood. Defendant. Honey, you could be in a top-notch sexual mood throughout our life together and it wouldn't bother me. Heart emoji. Gypsy. Good, darling. You're going to need the energy. Defendant. Why do you say that, baby? Gypsy. You pick it, hon. You pick it, hon. Gypsy. Message for you. Defendant. Babe, I'm already on. Heart emoji. I had to restart my computer, dear. Gypsy. Okay, darling. Friday, June 5th, 2015. Gypsy. Darling, what color restraints do you want, black or pink? Defendant, dear, we're collecting them, but get black, sweetie, heart emoji. Gypsy, okay, darling. Saturday, June 6th, 2015. Gypsy, honey, I was wondering, say I wanted to have sex with a guy before leaving town, could I? It's just curious question, LOL, laugh out loud. Okay, so I know you're territorial, but I'm being tempted sexually. Darling, can we talk online, please? I'm guessing you're napping. I thought you wasn't getting my text, hon. Defendant, I didn't hear them though, dear, since my phone was on vibrate. Gypsy, he agreed to meet up. We are going to get coffee at this cupcake place Thursday, so that will close that. It's a public place, so all good, hun. Defendant, dear, still, I'm told I'll be around in the area of it to make sure he don't do anything, and you have to accept that. Gypsy, okay, darling. Gypsy, what time does our bus leave Thursday, hon? Defendant, 6:13 p.m., dear. Or I may be off a few minutes, darling. Gypsy, okay, hon. I found the flogger. Defendant, that's good news. Gypsy, I miss you, hun, so much. Heart emoji, my heart is racing. I miss you, hun, so much. Heart emoji, my heart is racing. Defendant, why is your heart racing? Gypsy, because I can't wait to see you. Defendant, then we feel mutual, dear, heart emoji. Gypsy, darling, you have an important message. Defendant, okay, baby. Sunday, June 7th, 2015. Gypsy, darling, I was caught on my phone, but made my mom think I was during her phone. So I have to lay low until Wednesday. Defendant, okay, dear, just try to text me when you can. Gypsy, okay, baby. We can talk on Skype, hon. Please. Defendant, okay, baby. Monday, June 8th, 2015. Defendant, sweetheart, just wanted to say that I'm missing you and also that I love, adore, and worship you, my everything. Gypsy, hi, darling. I'm so sorry I didn't say goodnight. I was made to sleep on the front porch with bugs. I peed in the bushes. It's been rough. Darling, I'm not even sure of the password, but if it's not one angel heart, it would be my name, Gypsy Rose, or one Gypsy Rose. The good thing is if you forgot it, at least have your confirmation number down in the card it was purchased with, hon. They can look it up. Defendant, okay, baby, I was hoping you would have said our sacred words, but thanks for your help, hon. Gypsy, YW, my love, or in love, YW is normally you're welcome. Gypsy, and I will text you, hon. Defendant, okay, dear. Gypsy, I love, adore, and worship you, my everything. Defendant, I love, adore, and worship you too, my everything times infinity, heart emoji. Gypsy, aw, heart emoji. Defendant, baby, I called the cab company and everything is going well, heart emoji. Gypsy, okay, sweetie, good. Smiley face emoji. I just ate, feel a lot better now, smiley face emoji. Defendant, okay, honey, heart emoji.
You mean good, honey?
Sorry, good, honey, heart emoji. Gypsy, I can't believe you was able to go. Your mom is okay with it? Defendant, dear, it doesn't matter if she is okay with it or not. I'm my own man, honey, heart emoji. Gypsy, I know, sweetie, if she knows you're escorting me back with you, it should be fine, hon. Defendant, She'll know within time, honey, heart emoji. Gypsy, okay, darling, you have lots of guts, heart emoji. Defendant, I told you already, dear, nothing is keeping us from being together, and I meant it when I said that, heart emoji. Gypsy, so do I, heart emoji. Okay, sweetie, text me soon to give me an update, heart emoji, kiss, heart emoji. Defendant, will do, my love, heart emoji, kissing face emoji, heart emoji. Dear, my stepdad is taking me to the bus station instead, heart emoji. Gypsy, okay, sweetie, heart emoji. Defendant, dear, look at your email, I need to know the reference number. Gypsy, 569-28685. Defendant, thanks, sweetheart, heart emoji. Gypsy, I got yo back on YW or you're welcome. Defendant, I got your back too, heart emoji, update, I'm at the bus station waiting for my time to get on the bus. Gypsy, is it all good, you got the tickets, hon? Defendant, dear, please go with the story I told my mom and stepdad. Yes, dear, heart emoji. Gypsy, please let me know what story. Defendant, I'll tell you in person, dear, because I'll be able to explain it better than, heart emoji. Gypsy, okay, darling, heart emoji, I'm not saying a word on Facebook to anyone. Defendant, that's good, darling, heart emoji. Gypsy, making up a song on the road to destiny, la la la. Defendant, interesting, dear, heart emoji. Gypsy, I have been on a bus from Hyannisport to Boston. I enjoyed it. Defendant, interesting, hon. Gypsy, is Big Bend and safe place to live, hon? Defendant, darling, you almost never hear of crime in Big Bend. Gypsy, that's wonderful. Defendant, yes, baby, heart emoji. Gypsy, you might think I'm spoiled by how my room looks, a closet full of name brand clothes. Defendant, I already know you're spoiled, hon, heart emoji. Gypsy, LOL, laugh out loud. Defendant, I knew that would make you laugh, dear, heart emoji. Gypsy, my heart is like boom, boom, boom. I don't think it knows how to be calm when you're going to be with me. Defendant, LOL, laugh out loud. That's a good thing, dear, heart emoji. Gypsy, darling, I'm going to go to the ER, get my tube changed. I'll be off my phone for a few hours. Defendant, okay, hon, be safe, heart emoji. Gypsy, you too, sweetheart. Defendant, all right, darling, heart emoji. Defendant, update, dear, I'm on bus to Chicago. Update, darling, I'm on my way to St. Louis.
About 4 hours later.
Yes. Update, dear, I'm at the bus station of Champaign, Illinois. Hope to be in St. Louis soon. Gypsy, darling, I'm home. Defendant, that's good, dear, heart emoji. I'm glad you made it. Gypsy, it was a 6-hour wait in the ER. Defendant, wow. Gypsy, at least it's done, so we're good for a year. It can be done even by me, but I won't unless I have to. I missed you, baby. Defendant, I missed you too, sweetheart, heart emoji. Honey, sorry I didn't answer right away. I didn't feel it vibrate, dear, heart emoji. Dear, I guess you are either busy or not online anymore. I guess you aren't able to keep me company right now. I hope you are back soon because I'm already missing you, hon. Gypsy, hi, sweetie, I'm here, heart emoji. I just ate and took a bath, hon. Are you listening to your iPod, hon? Defendant, yay, I'm glad you are, heart emoji. Gypsy, LOL, or laugh out loud. Defendant, okay, No baby, just waiting for text from you and paying attention to my surroundings, heart emoji. Gypsy, okay, sweetheart, well, I was able to make peace with mom. Defendant, I knew you would. I believed in you that you could do it the full time, dear, heart emoji. Gypsy, I feel better, heart emoji. I just can't believe your life in Missouri, and it's so overwhelming in a good way. Defendant, I hope in a good way, hon, heart emoji. Gypsy, yes, darling, in a great way, hon. I feel so excited. Defendant, I'm glad we feel mutually about the situation, darling. Heart emoji, smiley face emoji, heart emoji. Gypsy, tomorrow is the last night we sleep alone. Defendant, true, baby. However, I'm going to pay for nights separately, heart emoji. Gypsy, okay, hon. Defendant, so the night you come to the hotel is another separate night from tomorrow, dear, heart emoji. Darling, as you know, I'm trying to save as much money as I can, heart emoji. Gypsy, I know, baby, and you don't need to pay for me to sleep with you at the hotel. I will sneak with you. Defendant, I know, dear, that's what I plan on doing, heart emoji. Gypsy, good, hon. Defendant, dear, don't deny it. You even knew that was what I was planning on doing, heart emoji. Gypsy, well, yeah, I'm your gal. Bring me back to your hotel, wink, wink. Defendant, with pleasure, my dear, heart emoji, winking face emoji, heart emoji. Guess you are busy, hon. I guess you aren't able to keep me company right now again. I hope you're back soon because I'm already missing you again, hon. Gypsy, bites, lip, squeaks. I'm back, hon. Defendant, LOL, laugh out loud. Nice way to come back, sweetie, heart emoji. Tuesday, June 9th, that should be 2015.
How about a break? I think they're ready. All right. Court again reminds you what you were told at the first recess of the court. Until you retire to consider your verdict, you must not discuss this case among yourselves or with others, or permit anyone to discuss it in your hearing. You should not form or express any opinion about the case until it is finally given to you to decide. Do not do any research or investigation on your own about any matter regarding this case or anyone involved with the trial. Do not communicate with others about the case by any means. Do not read, view, or listen to any newspaper, radio, electronic communication from the internet, or television report of the trial. Okay? So we will take about a 15-minute recess here. We'll come back about 4 o'clock and finish up with the text messages. Okay? All rise.